Welcome back. Now, the annual Mining Indaba will be held at the Cape Town International Convention Centre next week. It's a chance for the mining industry to introspect and for stakeholders to look at all issues affecting that sector. As usual, an alternative mining Indaba is also being organised to discuss the concerns of mining communities and workers affected by mining activities. For more on this, we're joined by the Economic Justice Network's Acting Executive Director, Mandla Hadebe. Thank you for being with us, Mr. Hadebe. So you have mining bosses in one forum. The president and ministers are often there. And then you have people affected by mining activity speaking about it in a different forum. Why is it still this way? Isn't it time for everyone to be in one room, as it were?
Good evening, Francis, and good evening to your viewers. It has been a long-held wish by those that started this alternative platform that at some stage we will all sit under the same roof across the table from each other and discuss these issues amiably. But, it hasn't come to pass yet. So we are hopeful that with a little more resilience and a few more alternative mining indabas, we will end up there. What we do is to build the understanding of those who are affected and impacted by mining so that they might have the right language to at least confront the mining industry as well as governments to speak about these issues, because I think there's a huge gap in understanding, especially to mirror the huge gap in benefits that come from mining. So our group of people are people that are impacted by mining, but certainly do not share in the benefits that flow from the mining.
Yeah. All right, so the Cape Town International Convention Centre is where the main event will be held. Where are you meeting? I understand it's a hybrid event this year. How can people get involved?
So we are meeting at the Doubletree by Hilton, which is in Woodstock in Cape Town. For us, the distance between us and the Cape Town International Convention Centre is not so great. In the past, we have been able, after discussions and coming up with a list of demands, been able to march to the convention centre to present our grievances and generally the debate that would have been generating from our discussions. So we are meeting in Woodstock from the 9th to the 11th. But we did start today a series of webinars, which are a preparation of the main event. Because of the COVID restrictions, we are restricted to a smaller number than we've been used to. We were able to bring about 500 or so people from at least 40 or so countries. But with the COVID restrictions, we have been limited to half that number. But with the advent of technology and the new technologies that are being offered, we are hoping that a lot more people will take part online.
All right, then for this year, your theme is a just energy transition for sustainable mining communities in a climate crisis era. Let's just look at the just transition. So I understand it to mean moving to renewable energies, but cognizant of jobs in the coal supply chain, for example. Even the truckers could lose their jobs. But it seems like people will lose their jobs. There will be losers, and the change has to happen. What is a just transition to you?
I think that's exactly the nub of what a just transition is. It has to be just. It shouldn't just benefit those that already have energy and those that already have the technologies to switch their types of jobs to the new technologies. So the just transition means that it must be just for all those that are caught in the mining value chain. It must be just for the women in the villages, the women who have up until now not been able to access the energy that is that can be found. So we are hoping that a just transition will mean that there are jobs that are created or maintained, and that even the health benefits, especially for those that have been suffering from coal and so forth, will be seen. So we are hoping that the just part of it means justice for those that are caught up in the mining value chain.
Yeah. Finally, I mean, there's an unjust past here. Actually, we saw that huge silicosis case being brought, but some of the miners had died of health issues. A history of acid water draining into waterways in South Africa. Has there been reform? That's sort of the big overall question to you. I mean, with the likes of Anglo boasting one of the biggest AIDS treatment programs in the world, is the mining sector moving to becoming part of the solution, or in your view, is it still part of the problem?
Well, the bigger the mining enterprises are, the bigger the risks, health, and to the environment there will always be. So we always say we are looking for a way to make mining sustainable, which is, of course, an oxymoron because mining depletes the environment and so forth. But if mining companies join hands with those that are impacted, then the solutions can be arrived at much quicker. Because if you are working from one side and presenting what essentially is more profitable for you, you are not going to take into account the health aspects. And we saw a lot of this during the COVID era where, mining companies were looking after their workers and so forth, but there was not much for people that live around mining areas. There was not much for those who are on a daily basis impacted by mining. So we are hoping that in this series of dialogues that we have started some 12 plus years ago, can get us closer to solutions which are shared by all that experience mining. Of course, the experiences are different. We know that it's much more profitable for those that own the mines and that are in the executive of the mining companies. But as we saw recently with the Sibanye strike and so forth, the disparities there are huge. It means also the health benefits are huge.
That links to my final question. I was going to say, is the Sibanye Stillwater issue going to come up? There's still an impasse. You still have people asking for 1,000 Rand and an executive not earning 300 million, but when those shares came in, some say he's lucky. But there's this incredible disparity. Is that something you can offer some sort of solution or guideline for?
Well, we have certainly taken a much more proactive stance. We will have some mining executives come to our Alternative Mining Indaba. We have invited quite a few of them, and we are hoping that they will listen as we speak to some of these issues. We do have among our groups some labor unions, and so we are hoping that these issues will definitely take center space. The dialogues that we have started have certainly got us closer, and we now speak with much friendlier language when we speak to each other with the mining executives, and we feel much more emboldened to bring up these issues. So we will have first our deliberations, and hopefully at the end, we will be able to take our resolutions and recommendations to the mining executives and have a roundtable discussion, which will be, hopefully amiable and will point out the huge disparities, especially in the earnings between the mining executives and the workers.
All right, thank you. So this kicks off next week, and we'll bring you all the action from the Mining Indaba as well as the Alternative Mining Indaba. Thank you very much, Mandla Hadebe from the Economic Justice Network.